have now reached the intersection where ideas, beliefs, and perspectives collide. So be free to be you. It's the Crossroads Podcast with your hosts, author, speaker, and transformational strategist, Barzini, and entrepreneur, empowerment coach, and tech diva, Dre Renee. If you're ready to talk love, business, politics, and everything in between, you're in for a ride. Welcome to the Crossroads Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, 100 Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm fempreneur extraordinaire, tech diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the Crossroads, where there's only one rule: be free to be you. What's going on, Dre?
Hey, happy day. I was going to give the month, but this might be another month.
Right. We don't know when this. So for y'all that don't know the joke, listen, we record episodes far in advance a lot of times. Actually, no. This episode,
it's gonna be
recording.
Okay.
We're actually on par. So this particular episode, today is Tuesday, and this will air on Thursday. We normally do our production on Tuesdays, and we air on Thursdays. However, we don't always air every episode the same week that we recorded. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you'll see episodes that we recorded. Like last week, I think we recorded that episode in November because it was election night. Election night, and then we were like, "Oh no, we got another episode." So we just do the thing, and y'all looking.
Yeah. Well, now that we got that out the way, happy Valentine's Day, happy Black History Month, happy February, all of that.
To them, right? To y'all, because I ain't doing shit for Valentine's.
Well, that's why I was wishing you one. It's not. I guess if nobody else gonna wish you one, I'll wish you one.
Well, I love you. Thank you. But you already know how I'm gonna be spending. I might actually be in LA.
Oh, well, I won't. But be safe. That's your plan.
Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that because what I'm going out there for, they're not supposed to know. It's supposed to be a surprise. Oh. They don't listen to this shit.
Edit.
No way. I'm gonna keep it in. He don't listen.
Chop that out.
Y'all. So we actually have quite the episode today. But before we get into that, as promised, we have a new segment that we are doing that you'll see more often now. And this segment is called WTF. Yeah, exactly. So today's what the fuck moment. Dre, you want to introduce it? What's...
Sure. So, for those of you who may not know what our WTF moment is, it's just when we find some interesting posts on social media that make us go, fuck?
What the fuck? Yeah. And again, for clarification, it is DAFUQ. The fuck? I think we need to rename the segment to that, actually.
Right.
The fuck?
Instead of WTF.
Yeah, so y'all might see a rebrand happen pretty soon.
So the post that I sent to Jason says, or Barzini says, a woman in this Facebook group just said that successful single women should lie about their accomplishments because many men don't like successful women. What do you say to that? You like bums? What's up?
I don't there's just so many women that don't know or get. Maybe I think they just don't want to understand. Maybe it's just convenient for women like that to say dumb shit so that. I'll say that. I don't know who wrote that, but this is my response to you, ma'am. If you're ugly, just say so. Dude, I'll just say in my circle of friends and homeboys, not one of my homeboys in the history of homeboys ever looked at a successful woman and said, damn, I don't want her. She too successful. She's too accomplished. Now, I have heard, I'm sick of hearing about it all the damn time as a qualifier for being right. You know what I mean?
That might
but
be
as
the
far
difference.
as, yeah, so we often hear like, oh, men are intimidated by, we're not intimidated by that shit. It's just, one, that's not a driver for us. That's a driver for women. Women are attracted and seek out successful men because it spells out safety and security. That's a value for women. I get that. That's not a value for men, seeing as how we're the ones that's supposed to be providing the safety and security. Now, if you're successful and accomplished, dope. You see what I'm saying? But I made a joke one time, and this is going to be triggering for some or offensive to others, right? But I was having a asshole moment, but I meant it at the time. I was going back and forth, and she starts laundry listing like all her degrees and accomplishments or whatever. And I was like, okay, bet, hang them bitches over the stove and go cook then. Like, the fuck? Like, all that shit serves me nothing. You know what I'm saying? Can you fix a meal? That's the shit I value. Like, hey, I'll be there across the stage. Cool, bet, that's sexy. But what I'm gonna do with them? The shit that I like, because, and that's why you can see, that's why you'll see massively successful men date women far below their professional station, right? Because that woman will provide other things that he values. You know what I mean? The economic disparity can be far greater, like for us. You know what I'm saying? When you provide those other things that we value. Now, somebody like me, it can't be too much of a disparity. Maybe when I'm,
I was about to say, no, really? What? That's all she has to do?
As I ascend, then like the more I make, the less she got to make. But she can't be a do nothing. But if she has those things that I value, like, I don't give a shit. If you make great money, dope. That's helpful. But I'm not seeking out a woman for her income.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's a woman with, as a matter of fact, every woman that I've been in a relationship has made more money than I have.
Well, boom.
Then I haven't been in a relationship in a very long time since. So
let's see if that still holds true the next go round. Be like,
doubtful. At this point. Not on purpose.
Well, come on through.
No, not on purpose. It's just I wasn't really making shit. So it wasn't really hard to do at that time.
Gotcha.
I'm doing better in life. But if she make more than me now, bet, cool.
So would you be over to the stove cooking, or she still gotta cook and be domestic even if she makes more money?
That's no, like, yes, you still need to get your ass in the kitchen, but that's not. Now, to clarify, yes, I cook. I actually enjoy cooking certain things. I have my specialities that I get in there and cook. I don't mind fixing my woman a plate, and so I don't serve it. I have no problem with service. Okay. But one of my love languages, even though this is not in the book or something like that, is
it's food.
Her culinary abilities. Like, for real, like for me, it is such an act of love. Like when a woman cooks for me and fixes a plate, that is such an act of love. It's not about servitude. It's not about being subservient to me. It's about, that's such an act of love, right? Okay. And it's a way that I show love too. Okay. Like at my place, when I cook, have you ever had to fix your own plate?
No.
See? So, and what more would I do for my woman? You know what I mean? So it's not about, you the woman, you da-da-da-da-da. But I'm just saying, if we doing things that the other one like, that's
okay. Well, that's good. I don't think I've ever heard anybody equate it to a love language. So if that is your love language, that's valid. I like it.
Yeah, food, head rubs, back. I like all that shit. Physical touch, words of affirmation.
Oh, you all of them. Now you just lumping everything.
No, but you know what? Actually, 4 out of the 5. Well, I will say physical touch. No, probably words of affirmation. Then physical touch. Then acts of service. Quality time and gifts. You know what I mean? Like I want the time, but it's not like, oh, I gotta have like. Yeah. I'd much rather. I'm the type of that. We can maximize the time that we do spend together, but I don't need your every moment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like when we're together, let's be together. But it's not like, oh, we don't spend enough time together. That's not really me, because I want somebody that's moving and shaking, because I'm usually busy.
Yeah.
And then gifts, that's not really. If you do something, I'm like, oh, thanks, because I'm so simple. The smallest gesture, I'm appreciative of. You can buy me a fucking candy bar, and I'm like, oh, babe. If you try some meaning to it, you know what I mean.
This is the first candy bar we shared on our first date. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts as far as like successful women, being a successful woman yourself?
Yeah, I've not encountered that, I had to lie or dumb it down. I do think that men still tend to want to know that they're needed. And that sometimes is hard. I don't know if it's hard for us or if we don't necessarily pay attention to how we show it. So again, I always talk about going back to how we were raised. Like a lot of emphasis has been put on like not being a gold digger, not being after a man for his money, after being raised to meet and mate with somebody that can take care of you. Not that you don't bring anything to the mix, but somebody that you don't have to take care of. Then in your teenage years, young adulthood, all the songs are about, being a gold digger and all that kind of stuff, right? And so now it's like, okay, well, I got to put my head down, go get it, so that I can take care of myself. Number one, because, relationships, as far as the ones that I saw, didn't always last. But also, I don't want anybody to think I'm only after them, for what they have, or that I need somebody to take care of me, take care of myself. And then ultimately, when you're in a love relationship, it's expected that you then reverse yourself again and show that you need somebody. It's like, I'm on a roller coaster. Okay. I have whiplash. I don't know what it is, so I feel like I've had to learn and relearn and unlearn along the journey. So I'm blessed. I have a supportive partner who's like, you're going to be Oprah. And I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I know, that being Oprah would not then be, I don't need him or wouldn't depend on him, or still, show him that he's important, in my life, especially to be someone who would play such an integral role in that process. Like if that is actually my destiny, I know that he would be there, day in, day out, contributing to that, because he's already done that. So I don't think you have to dumb it down, but also, I feel like, man, you guys need to be clear about what it is that you actually want. Like, hey, yeah, I support you. I'm glad that you're successful, but, or not even but, because, that cancels everything out. However, I love when you, make pork chops on Fridays, or I love when, you make my special meal, or we have dinner together and blah, blah, blah. Like, I love all these things about you. And I love these things about you too, and I think that shows us the shift, and what we would pay attention to that means something to you. Because I think we can just get caught up in, trying to make it. Like, we're not running the same race quite that you all are, especially as Black men, but we have, our own stuff to deal with too. And I think, the fact that we don't necessarily talk to each other about it. I don't know how many, like, I don't remember my parents, and maybe they did, like, in bed while we were all going to sleep or whatever. But like, do you unpack like what your day was like, and, what support you need at home so that you can make it happen in the workplace? I try to ask those questions. I know I can't necessarily understand all the shop talk because it's not my industry, but just wanting to know, like, are you okay, or what can I do to make this road easier for you?
Fix his plate.
Okay, well, Hey,
That's one of the things.
That's but a small thing to ask for, honestly.
Right. But to be so, and that's a awesome segue into what we're talking about on the show this week, right? When you were talking about laundry listing, all the things that I love, because that actually occurred in what we're talking about. So, y'all, today's episode is called Black and White, right? Because that's what the motherfucking truth should be, maybe, or can be, or should it be. But so what we're talking about, we're unpacking the film, the amazing film, right? Amazing. Malcolm and Marie. It was an amazing film. So amazing that most people can only watch it once. No, because it was very triggering for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was not what anyone thought it was going to be if they only watched it based on the trailer. I know social media got going and people kind of had an idea, but yeah, it was very smart. It was very real. I think it was a dramatization of some very real relationships. Mm-hmm. I think it was a depiction of a lot of people's relationships. I'll use a word that I used in the film. It was an amalgamation of so many people's relationships.
Yeah, the same word he used.
That came to a head. I love when I know words, because my dad uses that word a lot. And we started using that word from that movie, The Parenthood. At the beginning, when the little kid said that the usher that was watching him was an amalgam of all of the ushers that watched him over the years that his father had left him with. And he was like, what the fuck is an amalgam? Yeah. So I always thought that was interesting. Let me re-up my drink.
Okay. Please do.
Some peach nectarine.
Our sponsor, our future sponsor.
Red Bull, and a character on the show. And we're going to mix that with Tito's vodka.
Little Tito's.
You like to pull and pour? You like to pull and pour?
Pour, yeah. That's impressive.
I might have done that a time or two.
That's impressive.
So yeah, Malcolm and Marie. It was
a lot. Every time someone asked me, that's all I had was a lot. A lot. So let's start off. I'm gonna let you unzip the suitcase and begin the unpacking. Wow. So if you have not seen the movie, I suggest
stop
the pause, and go watch the movie, because we're going to talk about it.
Spoiler alert!
Right, we're going to talk about it. So Malcolm is a filmmaker, director, and has premiered a movie. And him and Marie, his girlfriend, are returning from the premiere, and he is on cloud 9. Like, I loved the opening, right? Like, first of all, everything was beautiful. The whole movie's in black and white, and you see like the side of the house and then the lights and the cars pulling up, and they come into the door, and you can tell. And I was just looking at her like, oh my gosh, I've been here. Like, I missed the opening. They're not even saying anything to each other, and I'm like, oh, she's pissed, and he is on top of the world. It's like, did you guys not ride home together? Did you you have no, like, they are totally opposite ends of the spectrum. She goes straight to the bathroom, he goes and cuts on some James Brown, and he's getting his choreography, he's singing, he's got a drink, like
jumping on shit,
celebrating. Okay, like, I knocked it out of the park. First he said, we did it, babe, right? And she's like, what did we do?
Yeah. She didn't say that was the look on her face.
Yeah. And so he's like, I made wrote and directed a movie that, blew the socks off the critics, something to that effect. Really, like, they all on a nigga, I talked to XYZ critics and they loved it, blah, blah, blah. And so meanwhile, like, she's literally on the toilet, okay, listening to all this, like, I could care less, right? And ultimately they wind up, she comes out the bathroom, hopefully COVID washes her hands and whatnot. And she goes straight to the kitchen and she starts making Kraft macaroni and cheese. Now, first
of all, can we pause there? Because you knew I was going to do that.
Yeah,
shit.
so I was like,
first of all,
yeah, Kraft.
Don't ever. Now, I said, remember that part when I said a love language is fixing me something to eat and making a plate? And clearly he had requested this. Don't ever go in the kitchen. First of all, don't ever have to shit in your kitchen.
I'm gonna say it's not in the kitchen.
It should not be in the kitchen.
Unless you got a little kid. Sometimes the little kids eat that. No? Okay.
I'm gonna even do that to my child. That's what ramen is for.
You said Robbie?
No, ramen.
Oh,
rob somebody for some mac and cheese. First of all, that wasn't mac and cheese. That was macaroni and cheese. That was cheese and macaroni.
And shells and cheese.
Yeah, man, fuck all of that. Nothing that requires powder.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But go ahead.
Yeah, so she's making Kraft macaroni and cheese out of the box, okay? And
macaroni and cheese should have a commercial to it.
Right. Grandma's mac and cheese or mama's mac and cheese doesn't have a commercial. So ultimately, he's on a high. He's, waiting for his mac and cheese that clearly he requested, and is trying to engage with her sexually. And, and she's looking down at him like, I mean, any other, time, I'm sure this would have been like an engine revving moment, but her face was a no. And he noticed. And so, it appears this is the first time that he's aware that there's a problem. And he
indicates something that becomes a trend too. He said, I can read you. Because he asked why she's mad. And she said, I'm not mad.
Now,
which was a lie.
I'm about to say, here's where I had to just, I had to write myself a note, right? Like, I hate, and there probably aren't too many things that I hate, but I hate passive aggressive behavior. However, I recognize, I used to do that. And that's likely why I hate it. And I thought, why? But the best that I could recall, being in a situation like that is like, there's nothing in me that understands or believes that you don't know what's wrong. And so, no, I'm not going to tell you because you were there.
you saying that was a past mentality or a current mentality?
Pass. Mm-hmm. Past mentality, you were there, you did it.
You should just know.
You should know. And why should I have to say anything? So, right. When she said nothing, I was like, oh, sis, like, this is your moment, right? But then we wouldn't have had a movie. If she would have just spelled it out.
It was in credits.
But that's something, I recognize I've done. And I know people who do it, and it's something, and I'm not going to say like, one day I woke up and I was no longer passive. Like, I have to check myself even in the moments that I feel like doing it because I know how much I hate it. And it's just, it is easier. Even if it feels hard, it is easier to just go ahead and throw it out there so you can deal with it. Otherwise, you end up with an hour and 45-minute movie
of an argument. But I don't know. I don't think, because I am my personality type. I'm not passive aggressive. I'm passive or aggressive. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm leave me the fuck alone, and so I can process. And if you decide to poke the bear and not allow me that time to process, I'm just strictly aggressive because I'm going to approach the situation based on my current perception of it without the processing. Mm-hmm. And I could be wrong. And I think that's what happened in the movie. Nobody had a chance to process. And then, we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but if you've seen the movie, it's fine, right? Like, she wanted to get, even though she was showing that she was upset or something was bothering her, right? And I feel in some moments purposefully so. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Because again,
like with the butter,
you know what you did.
Yeah, I'm gonna chop the butter hard with this knife, and and when you get done, there's something I'm gonna point out to. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I'm just saying, like, I was saying she wanted to allow the space for it to simmer, if you will. But then you have someone who wants to attack it right then, right? So if you are the partner, one or the other, but you have two people, one is like, let's let it breathe. And then you have someone who's like, no, let's get to this right now. That's not gonna ever.
Well, okay, so let's kind of unpack that a little bit. Like, let's spend a couple of minutes there, because what I do like about the movie, and I'll say this and we'll kind of unpack that as we progress, but it's easy to watch this without a gender lens, right? Because there were some behaviors that we typically attribute to women that he displayed, and then there were some characteristics that we typically attribute to men that she displayed. So it kind of interchanged. No one had neither one of them had either of the stereotypical women do this, men do this. So it was easy to watch this without a gender bias, at least for me. So when it comes to communication, right? Which do you defer to? Because the common consensus for men is men don't communicate. Men don't know how to communicate, and we need to talk about it. And we tend to we tend to do what she was doing. Like, don't want to talk about it right now, right? And he pressed. You know what I mean? So like, which is it? Like, one is saying we need to talk about this, and the other is saying, nah, this is not a good time to talk about this. And to be honest, I think both are actually right. I don't think there's a wrong in that. You know what I mean? It's like, a lot of the cliche is, hey, we shouldn't go to bed mad at each other, blah, blah. And then she clearly states this. Now, I agree with what she said. I think her reasoning was hurtful. You know what I'm saying? And correct, but not fair. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because she was like, there's nothing productive that will come out of this conversation tonight. And he asked why. And she says, because you are incapable of de-escalating a situation unless it's about work. And even then it's 50-50. You know what I mean? And so if that's the case, is he going to develop the skill in the morning?
No, but at least it'll be morning. Instead of all night long.
All right. I don't know. So what are your thoughts around, like, do you communicate head on, or do you let it fester? Do you sleep on it? Like, is it incumbent upon the relationship, the styles of the people? I don't know.
Well, the one thing that kind of rubbed me differently about this situation, I know you mentioned, like, she displayed more of the classic male characteristic, and then him the female characteristic, but she let on that there was a problem. Like, she was the person with the problem. Okay. And if we do traditional kind of how these things go, the woman presents, hey, I got an issue. And the man's like, not right now. Generally, you don't have the person who has the issue that says, not right now. Like, they're usually the aggressor. They're the ones that want to get it handled. So it was also very passive aggressive to be like, I got a problem. I mean, even though he had to pull it out of her, it was because of her behavior. Like, you did something, let him know there's a problem, and then you went, talk about this right now. And so that's,
So a lot of people saw him as wrong because he pressed. Like, a lot of viewers would say, hey, the argument started with him because she said leave it alone, and he pressed. And I even said that initially. Like, I was like, damn, my nigga, leave her alone. She said she don't want to talk about it. Right? I said that. I said that as I was watching it, but then when I watched it again today, I was like, because she's like, I'm mad. Notice and acknowledge I'm mad so that I can tell you I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. And
which is not classic man. Right. But,
so that part I thought was, kind of shitty. But generally, in a situation where, there's an issue, someone wants to talk about it, and someone wants to wait, being the person that generally wants to talk about, because I'm solution oriented. It's not even, I don't think I ever thought of it like, pressing somebody or infringing on their space to process. I'm just trying to get it out of the way. I don't like discord, especially with somebody that I care about. If it's somebody I don't care about, we can let it fester till the cows come home. I don't care. But yeah, someone that I care about or I love, it is uncomfortable. And I'm like, what can we do to get past this? As I've encountered more people and been in more relationships, everybody, of course, is not that way. And I have felt forced to pause and take a beat and wait and simmer and all of that kind of stuff because the other person, like, that was their style. Now, is it fair and all this kind of stuff? I don't know. But I will say it isn't productive to force somebody that's not ready. It sucks as a person that wants to engage. But if you do engage them and force them forward, then you can get, like you said, it's just all aggression. You don't get anything productive out of it. You don't get their very best. And then you wind up maybe even fighting about something that's not even what the current issue is, which was the case in this movie. Like they ended up far from where it started. So,
because she mentioned that as well.
Yeah.
At the beginning, she was like, this is like our entire relationship, which can be confusing. So it's like, is it about what happened tonight, or is it about our entire relationship, or is what happened tonight our entire
relationship? Yeah.
Like, which is it? Because she kind of kept bouncing.
And that's another thing, because sometimes, for those of us who do like to push and press about a particular issue, sometimes that beat, even if it's uncomfortable, it will allow you to really think about, what am I really upset about? Is it this one thing? Is it this one thing because it's always this thing? Is it this one thing that represents all of the things, so it gives you an opportunity, whether you like it or not, to really reflect, so that you can, if there's a such thing as fighting fair, like that, you're able to do that. You can really express yourself. In most cases, it will remove you from the raw emotion of it so that you can actually communicate. So I will say, even though it's still very uncomfortable for me, sometimes I have appreciated, being kind of forced in that situation where, like, I got to pause. What I can appreciate about my partner today, and we don't argue and stuff like that, but if there's something that we need to talk about, I appreciate, even if he takes a beat, it's not a never ending beat. My last relationship, the reason why I realized, like, I pressed so hard is because we never picked it back up. It would be like, I need a moment, and your moment is like a week has passed and we haven't talked about it, or 2 weeks has passed and we haven't, so I feel like if that is the situation where you need a moment or whatever that is, like, identify what that is. Like, what, this is pretty big, and I got stuff going on at work. I'm probably not even going to be able to handle this until this weekend, and make it happen. Right? You can't leave somebody hanging on a string when it comes to, their feelings and their experience inside the relationship. So if you're going to do that, then you got to meet the person. I don't even know if it's halfway, but you got to meet them somewhere. So that's kind of what I feel about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we push forward into their, I guess we can call it a conversation.
we push it.
So she's visibly upset. He starts to press, like, annoyingly so. He just keeps calling her name. Marie. You're mad, Marie. Why are you mad, Marie? Right? And I know that was like the artistic interpretation, but it was still annoying as fuck. And that's what made me go, because I watched it at 3 a.m. and I'm like, nigga, she don't want to talk, bro. Bro.
Indeed.
So then again, so she makes that comment about you're incapable of de-escalating the situation, right? And so I think that was the first truth. No, I think the first truth was when he was down on his knees and, trying to, get it in.
Yeah.
And he sees her. He was like, that was a fake smile. And she's like, no, it wasn't. Lie. Like, you're angry. I'm not angry. Lie.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I know you're angry. And so what I can say is that, and I was saying was a trend, is they know each other.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the statements that they made was based on, I know you. So when he was like, he said, I can read you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that's a fake smile because I know you. I can read you. And then her first observation was, you're incapable of de-escalating the situation. That's because I know. I'm not going to talk to you tonight because I know you.
I know you. Yeah. I
You
know
know
where
what I
this
mean?
is going.
Right. And so I know you're mad because I know you. I know we're going to fight even more because I know you. And it was a cycle. And nothing they said was untrue about the other.
Mm-hmm.
They knew each other, and they were both so narcissistic.
Yeah.
They were both extremely narcissistic, right? So she walks away from the situation. No. She goes in the bathroom. He follows her, and then she reveals why she's mad. So at the premiere, he gives the speech, and he's thanking everybody, and then it's revealed that he never thanked her.
And I immediately text you. That movie hadn't been on 15 minutes. I was like, how the hell did he forget?
Like, how dare he, right?
Thank you to the what? And we don't know anything else at that point. It was just like, once I found out what the movie was about, then I was really like, oh, hell no. But just at face value, this is your girlfriend. She's there with you. She's your date. She's in the audience as you're giving the speech. How did you forget this lady?
Well, okay, so, and then, okay, let's unpack that a little bit. Like, in context of the movie, like when she's making her statements at the beginning, because when she made the statement, like, you're sitting there thinking everybody else and you're treating me like this when you're celebrating a night, a movie that you created about my life. So the thing, I think the smoke and mirrors to the audience is that we immediately believe everything in real time, as it said, without the context of what we don't know is coming. Right. And so it's like, what? You made a movie about her, bro, and you didn't thank her? That's what it was. It wasn't the part where you didn't thank me, right?
No, it was for me before I knew that part, and
right,
then it escalated.
Right. So that part, I think I might have put myself in his shoes hearing that, because it put me into a time where I was.
You see, I had to grab my glass. Like,
yeah,
go ahead.
Like I was like working on something, starting a business, and she had caused me nothing but trouble and turmoil. Like, you were not behind this. You didn't support this. We argued and fought the whole way through.
Okay.
And then it's like, but you want acknowledgement when you really didn't contribute. Right.
Okay. So that's different.
And that was a thought before we heard about what we thought were her contributions. Right. And so I think that part was punctual when she said the movie about your life. And then, so he's sitting eating the macaroni. And that's when the amalgamation comment came. It was like, it's not about you. It's an amalgamation of a lot of people. And then he's lying though. Right. Now he's clearly lying. And I think they're depicting that he's lying. But then we're like, he's actually telling the truth and lying simultaneously in that moment based on what we find out later. Right. So he wasn't lying about it being an amalgamation, but he was lying in that moment about an amalgamation of who? Because the true amalgamation was hurtful. You see what I'm saying? So I was like, ugh. So, but in that moment, it's like, what? It's eating the macaroni. Oh, a lot of people. You know what I mean? And so it's like, damn, this nigga lying right now, and so now you starting to side with her because you didn't thank her, bro. You made a movie about her life, bro. Now you sitting here telling her it's not about her. It's about a lot of people. But then it was punctuated with, would the movie be as good as it was if you and I weren't together?
That was, oh, sis, that was cool.
Right.
That was
and then he says, no. But so now in that moment, the audience thinks the movie was about her, and that's why it was good. Right. So we're stuck in this moment, and I think the writing purposely makes you side with any particular character in any given moment, right? And so like at that point we're siding with her, like, oh, Malcolm, how could you? Bro, you made this movie about her and couldn't even thank her. You know what I'm saying? It's all about you. Right. But then as we progress and the layers are starting to peel off, right, and he starts getting honest. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let you pick it up from there. Like he starts like telling you because I'm like she's all over the place with why she's mad. So I'm still trying to figure it out, but we're focusing on you didn't thank her.
Right. And then but before, he kind of obliterates her. She goes deeper into the fact that it's not just that you didn't thank me, but look at how many other people you had to thank that, we could argue are like, who cares about this person, right? But you remember to thank them, 100 other people or 200, however many people she said he thanked down to his third grade teacher, and you don't remember me. And then she starts to point out, as you mentioned, his narcissism, which, yes, we can definitely say exists on both sides. But she said, I feel like once you know someone loves you, you never think of them again. And only when you're about to lose someone do you finally pay attention. So I'm here with you every day. You make a movie that's at least inspired, or, you put the final touches on it based on my life. I support you in a way that you can be your best self and devote your attention to making this project. Because she ended up going through her own laundry list of stuff that she does for him. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm not even visible to you, like outside of being on your arm at the show, and looking beautiful in my dress or whatever. He was talking about how great she looked that night, like all of that. Mm-hmm. But I don't even get a thank you. And so So anyways, I feel like things had died down because there were so many died down moments. Backup moments. So I feel like they might have been
because they fought and you thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Because she was like, "Oh, you can kiss me now." And he was like, "Yes."
Yeah. And, so and then thinking they about to get it in. And I noticed like every time they started, like they never actually completed the deed. So it was a bunch of, touching and rubbing and kissing.
Even more frustrating. Like, I gotta be horny and fight with you.
It never quite curled all the way over.
This can be a more productive conversation if we actually get it in.
Yeah. And I think that's where he was trying to get to, because he probably knows that. I'm sure that has been some sort of theme in their relationship. Like, oh, if we can get to this point, that'll buy me more time.
But that might be, but that could also be a destructive part of their relationship, because they did acknowledge that part of the relationship was always great.
Yeah, so that's
everything else.
Let's
around
get to that. If I can get her there, then,
but that, but maybe for her that doesn't erase everything. Because it was always him trying to initiate sex. Mm-hmm. Because he was like, because he always talked about like, oh, we have great sex, we blah 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 blah. And she's like when the first time she's like, I'm not in the mood. Like her face in the first scene is like, I'm not in the mood.
Right.
And then later in the bedroom, he's like, oh, I'm so
you
hot.
And this pour is
he like that. It's my commercial pour. Hold on.
Yeah. It reminds me of that old commercial with Sammy Davis Jr. when he's doing the little
yeah.
All you need is a little ditty.
Exactly. A little jingle.
Yeah. So so I think he was trying to get them there. Not that it erases it for her, but I think anybody that's been in that situation, like you know, when you're in that situation, and particularly if it's good, you're like, nobody wants to ruin it by fighting, right? Like I won't say nobody because your face, went another way, but the majority
of a situation. That's why.
Okay. So maybe some people are fueled by that and they want to fight more, but I think, at least for the moment, like it's a safe spot. Like generally people are not arguing and fussing and fighting.
That's true. So here's a perspective of that, and tell me your thoughts. Right. So I always contend that sex is the most important part of a relationship because that's when you're most open and vulnerable to communicate. So I don't disagree with what you're saying. But then there's those people that use sex as a band-aid, and it's like it's almost like the example that you gave with your ex. Like we set it down and put a pin in it, but we never pick it back up. And I feel like a lot of times, a lot of couples, that's sex. Sex is the pin.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And we don't pick it back up. And so the situation that I'm reminded of is there was a time where with an ex, she messed up. You know what I'm saying? She did some foul shit. And I went off. And so she knew she was wrong. And then she came home after work. Like we even went out to lunch, was kind of talking about it or whatever. And I heard her, I was being petty too. I heard her with the, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, which was true. But you know what I'm saying? I'm playing the card because I had the leverage, right? So I was being super petty, right? I was being Marie. And then she came home. And when she got home, she didn't speak. She just put her stuff down, came over to the couch where I was sitting and started going to work, right? So I'm like, I'm not about to turn down head, which culminates into sex. And, we in the bed getting it in. And she gonna look me like in the middle of the act talking about, you still mad? And I was like, yes.
Yes. I am.
Like, you think being mad, like, yeah, I'm mad. This is something completely separate from the issue. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in a relationship with you. I'm still physically attracted to you. I'm still going to engage in sex, but that does not mean that we are not going to deal with this issue. And it doesn't mean that I feel different about having sex with me. Doesn't make me feel different. It doesn't erase what you did. You see what I'm saying?
Ladies, because I feel like, and this is not 100% true, but I feel like for many, the opposite is assumed by men, right? Like, if I can get her to this place, then I can cloud her brain enough. I can, she's talking about something else, or not talking at all, which is probably your preference, right? Like, it deads this situation right here. And the part that is not often thought about is that it doesn't make it disappear forever. It literally is momentary. And, when you're back on your feet, or even before your feet hit the floor, sometimes you are right back at, but he disrespected me, or he forgot me, or whatever the situation is. And now in your brain as a woman, it's like, now I have to get us back to the place, that we can even have a conversation. I got to bring this up again, right? I got to start an argument again. I got to, vie for his attention again, because he's split between all the things that's going on. Like, and it can be maddening and exhausting. So I definitely felt, oh girl, like, pause. We're not even going to do that, because it doesn't wipe it clean, but I think it gives the impression of, like, again, yeah, like shit is sweet, and it's absolutely not. So I think for you guys, like, it's very clear. That's funny that she would even ask you that. I would not assume that you're not mad, because you guys are very, in terms of compartmentalizing, you're able to do that pretty much across the board. So, but
women use sex as an apology all the time.
That don't mean it work.
No, I mean, I don't know how other dudes react. Some dudes might be like, oh, okay, she's sorry. She, she started doing this. I'm like, no, you're going to say them words. I need you to see, because I'm a pattern of behavior type person.
Say them words.
But I think me starting to have sex when I did, as late as I did, you know what I mean, had a lot to do with it, because I've never been governed by my dick. Not in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot weaponize sex.
But outside of a relationship, yeah.
Oh yeah, you caught that qualifier though. I've done some things.
Not on this side of the line.
Not on this side of the line. But no, it's not. It's not a band-aid. It's not a fix-all. It's not a fix anything.
Yeah.
It's a I think sex, for me, the greatest sex is post-resolution. You know what I mean?
We're over it.
we
resolved
communicated,
it. Mm-hmm.
we got an understanding, we resolved, and
There's
I love
peace.
I love you again because I understand you on a different level now. Like, because I think the best arguments, if you can even say that, is something that I've learned. I think after an argument, you should have learned something new about your partner.
That's good.
Because that's why you've gotten into the argument in the first place, because there's something that one of you or both of you is not understanding in the communication or the action that occurred, right? And so after this is barring those arguments that somebody just did something completely fucked up, like blatantly fucked up, right? But like most arguments are somebody did something, the other one interpreted it in some sort of way that caused a feeling that turned into a conversation that needed to be had. Right. And so after that conversation, and then no, but when I said this, what I mean was, or I did this because I was trying to, and then you said, but I said that because, oh, well, see, I didn't know that because you didn't say, and what, and then you go through all of these changes, but then when all the puzzle pieces are now put together, and intent is established, and it's like, okay, now I get it. I'm sorry. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Or, what I'm saying, or the appropriate apologies and acknowledgement and validation is given. It's like now it's like working out, because when you work out, you're not really building muscle, you're breaking down muscle. You see what I'm saying? And that's the argument. The argument is like lifting weights. It's strain, it's stress. It's painful, right? And then after it's over, and when it's like, and then you rest, the muscle is rebuilt bigger and stronger than it was, and now it even looks different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's what it should be like. It's like, I've learned something. I've learned how to in this area, I've learned how to communicate. In this area, I've learned to recognize or ask the proper questions or take the proper action to not repeat the previous argument. But if you're having the same argument over and over, then there's a breakdown in the communication, the understanding, or the willingness or something, right?
Right.
And so I just feel like that is the part. And I wonder at the end of this movie, was that the climax? You know what I mean? Like, was there the understanding? Because I think they had so many arguments within that argument.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that there was, and so, okay, so here's a thought that just came to me.
Wait, before you, because I don't know where you're going to go, but I want to make sure I say this in terms of the end of the movie, when he says, thank you, I'm sorry. And she says, you're welcome. I felt initially like, oh, he got it. And then I felt maybe he just wants her to shut up. Like I wasn't sure.
And both are plausible. And so I think that's great art, because the fact is both of those are absolutely plausible. But here's the thing, because the reality is there is no real win, because it already happened. You can't go back and do the speech.
Right.
So no matter what he does, she doesn't get her thank you.
Right.
She got her thank you, but she didn't get her thank you. She didn't get
her moment.
Her public. She didn't get her moment, her public acknowledgement. Whether it was, you know what I mean. But so there was a whole lot. You know what I mean. But I think one poignant moment was the bathroom scene, right? And a lot of people thought he was being cruel. But so tell me this, because here's another part, another thought. When he came in and said that no matter how bad you try to hurt me, like, I can annihilate you, I can hurt you more, right? And so there's the school of thought that he came in there to be cruel and just to assert himself and show just how cruel I can be. Or there's that saying that love is having the ability to hurt you and I choose not to, right? Or something like that. I might be completely misquoting.
I understand, but
you know
what you mean.
So that part, it can also be, this is what I could do to you if I so choose. But because I love you, I choose not to. Right? So here is some information for you that you're misinterpreting, because this is what I kind of tied into that, right? It's like when I'm eating the macaroni, when he first said, okay, the movie is not about you, it's an amalgamation of a lot of people. And then he's lying about who it's an amalgamation of. And then in the tub, he tells exactly who it's about. And then he starts naming scenes. So he wasn't lying about the amalgamation, but he was lying about the who. Now, was he lying about the who to protect her from what he actually told her in the tub? That truth? Is that love, or was he trying to hurt her? Because we want the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's like, is it really I'm being cruel, or you forced my hand? Is it I'm being cruel, or I'm not going to allow you to paint this narrative of me when I've tried to protect you from this truth that you really didn't want, even though you said you did. So here it is. This scene is about this girl. This scene is about this girl. Oh, this one right here, this was about blah 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 blah. I fucked the shit out of her. Da 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 da. Now, did he have to say all of that?
I was gonna say that's why I felt like it's both. I definitely believe he tried to protect her, but I don't feel like, oh, you forced my hand. Really, he was outside having a temper tantrum, and then came back in and decided, this is the moment I'm going to break you. Not that I'm going to tell you the truth, which he could have just said, it's about Kiki and whoever and so on and so on. But he decided to give details down to the fact that he had a picture of somebody in their house and, in the closet or whatever. Like,
now consider what she said before that ignited him to say that, though, right? When she broke down his whole career, everything else, called him mediocre. Like, without me, you wouldn't be blah, 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 blah. Because before he came into the bathroom, and this is the funniest part, when he knocked on that window, because she said a lot of shit, right? I can't even remember everything he said, but all he unpacked, the only thing he heard, he knocked on that window. Mediocre. Because he's an artist. Like, you don't tell an artist. Not only an artist, it's on the night of my biggest achievement. And how all these critics is telling me how amazing I am. And everybody's on my dick tonight. And you tell me I'm mediocre? Bitch.
That was what he pulled from that.
So let me tell you about you. And so, but he did say, like, we're in a fight. The gloves are off, right? So it's kind of like, I don't disagree with it, but it's also an unfair thing, right? And they both did it because they were both like, "Oh, you're being cruel," and they said that shit after they just said some fucked up shit. Like, you don't get to say all this fucked up shit, right? And be all transparent and tell all this truth, and then tell me I'm being cruel when I do the same. Like, no, this is a fight. If we go to, so the thing is, if we taking the gloves off, are we taking the gloves off? So why is it that I am supposed to now protect you and your feelings after you just destroyed me? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm supposed to do because I love you. And so it begs the question is, it's like we always say we want the truth. This movie was so much, it was unpacking all of their truth, right? And we say we want the truth, but we only want the truth in the fashion that is palatable to us. And is that really the truth? You see what I'm saying? Because they was telling the truth. Okay. So
it could still be the truth.
It could be, but
I think that the difference is what hurts the other person, right? Like, she could argue, all I said was, or I talked mostly about. Wait, I'm with you. I'm just pointing it out, right?
No, I was going to give an example. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm saying she's pointing out things about his life, right? Like, you're not being true to yourself because this is how you grew up. And meanwhile, people are thinking, you're in the struggle and you don't know anything. It's a struggle, blah, blah, blah. And then instead of necessarily, well, he also dug at her as a person, but he knew what was really going to bother her. Like, around all the other things that he had to say, I'm going to point out the fact that you tried to kill yourself, and I'm going to flaunt all these, women in your face. And then for her, like you said, she talked about him and did this kind of laundry list of things, but what stood out for him, and maybe she didn't even, I don't know if she realized that it would or not, because she acted surprised. Like, is that all you got from my whole thing? Was that, he was mediocre. So I think, when we fight as men and women, we're thinking, well, I held this back. I didn't really come out guns blazing, but what you said, could really be that thing that impacts the other person, even if you are, considering yourself holding back the big gun. So that was what I was.
Okay. So herein lies a conundrum, right? Because a lot of people say when you're in a relationship, like, keep all your stuff in house, like, don't go sharing it with nobody else. Y'all need to talk about that with the two of you, right? But then we say, and then your thread that you posted, someone says some things should never be said. Like, and I kind of was like, well, but this is how I feel, and if I feel this way, and then I'm operating by, damn, I shouldn't tell anybody else outside the relationship, but I can't say this to the person that I'm in the relationship with, then what do I do with this? You know what I mean? On either side. I'm not talking about just gender specific, because here's another school of thought, and I don't disagree with, you didn't have to say that or bring up, her past, she was there. But was him saying that about her or about him because she didn't experience that by herself? Yes, she was the one that was strung out and going to be, but him being with her, there's an experience that he's also having, right? And so I'm wondering, was he talking about her experience? Because what he was saying was like, I was there when blah 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 blah, I stuck with you when blah 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 blah, like when anybody else would have left you, I loved you through all of this.
Yes.
And now you're telling me that I forget about people, or I'm this or I'm that, you know what I mean? And so I think both schools of thought are valid, but it's hard to know which that he's coming from, because because he follows up with, why can't you just really realize that through all, like, you want to be in control because you can't grasp the thought or realize that no matter that, despite all of that, there's somebody on this earth that just loves you. And then he laundry listed, because after he laundry listed all the shit, he laundry listed every reason he loves her. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and that's the part.
I'm asleep by that time. I'm not.
But wow, because okay, so on an emotional level, it's like, I don't give a fuck about all that because you just said this. I get it. Yeah, I get it. But you can't negate that it was said and articulated, right?
Right.
It's like,
but the part that I wanted to put there was a comma, right? All the stuff, his experience, but he also said, not just I was there for you through all that. He said, because, oh gosh, I don't want to mess it up, but it was something to the effect of, I do this because I'm afraid that if I don't, or if I forget to say thank you on this, on this night or whatever, you don't get your shine, then you are going to X, Y, and Z, right? Then I'm going to find you on the floor with the scissors or whatever, trying to slit your wrist. So it wasn't just, I was there for you during this, or, that was one of the most horrible nights of my life to find you like that. It was still in a way that was, it was, I'm sure, very embarrassing for you to bring it up that way, and for you to now see her as still, like, you're capable of doing this again. It's only a matter of time before I find you in this kind of position again. So it wasn't just his experience. It was still an attack and weaponizing her past as a potential future. So I definitely agree with what you're saying, but I want to make sure that. So
question, was it weaponizing, or was it trauma? You see what I mean?
Probably both, because I feel like,
right. And
I feel like the traumatic experiences like that, because
I just think artistically it leaves a lot to interpretation, because we can. I think the temperature of the film lends itself to cruelty and weaponizing, right? And it could very well be that. No denying that. I'm just I guess I'm playing angel's advocate in the sense that there's more than one way to look at this film. Like, the consensus is we're looking at it like, oh, they're so toxic. And then I had to think, like, after I've watched it the first time, I was like, they're absolutely toxic. Like, how can anybody? But then it's like, you listen again, and because the reality is this, right? The audience is set up to believe that this snapshot of their relationship is a representative of its entirety. Like, this is how they communicate. This is how they exist, right? And that's not necessarily true, because anybody who's ever been in a relationship I can almost guarantee 100% can trace that relationship back to the biggest argument they had in that relationship, right? And it was longer than an hour and a half that movie, right? I know I can remember the biggest argument I ever had like it was yesterday. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it ended with sex, but
that's how they go. And then you're just like, this is such a passionate relationship. It's just the passion.
But here's the reality: we had never had an argument like that before, and we never had an argument like that again.
Oh, well, that's good. What I'm saying? For those who were on this was regular rotation. Good.
Right, but we assume that this is their norm, rather than a lot of things that they just haven't said before that's come to a head. We don't know what's occurred before, and we don't know how they processed after. So it's easy to say, "Oh, they're toxic because this is how they communicated on this night." But then again, he never premiered a movie before. He never had been on this kind of high before. He never forgot to thank her before. He never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
she pretty much said that, you know, that was that instance of him forgetting was the snapshot of their relationship. That might not have been his experience. And his experience, I mean, I won't say it's all sweet, because clearly he dealt with her addiction. But she's saying, like, generally, this is how it may not be this instance, but I feel unseen, unappreciated, whatever by you on a regular basis.
Yeah, she said that, but it was hard to believe, because then she was, at first it was, I'm not angry. And then it was, this is about you didn't thank me. But no, it's not just about you didn't thank me. It's about the entirety of our relationship. But no, it's not about that, because you didn't cast me. And then
it's all the things. But I think ultimately it all traces back to feeling like I'm here, but I'm not here.
Right.
Because if I'm here, and if you don't really see me, that's how you forgot to thank me. Right. If you don't really see me, that's why you didn't think in a movie, even if it wasn't totally based on me, in a movie that's so closely connected to my life, you didn't think like you're the one that's going to play this. And not that he had to, but I'm just saying this is her thought, right? Like in all of these situations, it connected that you just don't see me, or you don't appreciate me. And so here are all the reasons I can kind of, and it was annoying to me too, because I was like, girl, why didn't you just get us to the end from the beginning, right? But she just, kind of had to lay it out as,
Well, again, there wouldn't have been a movie.
There wouldn't have been a movie, absolutely.
So here's what pissed me off about like both of them, right? Like if I have to say they're toxic, right? Both of them was making it about them. So she failed in so many instances to say what the shit was really about, because every time she spoke, it was about something different, right? And
he would think it was over, like
right. And so he was pissing me off because he was so, what's the word I want to use? It was hard to know whether she was just being transparent in that moment, and like in this moment, this is what it's really about. But even outside of that, no matter what she said, he conflated it to, oh, this is just about da 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 da, right? So like, okay, let's go to the moment when she finally revealed that I'm upset that you didn't cast me. Like, why didn't you cast me? I would have been great. I would have been better than her. He goes, oh, you jealous? This is about you being jealous. This whole time like, damn, my nigga, like there was an opportunity there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if she's like being emotional or all over the place, there was an opportunity for you there to connect to the feeling. And so this is what I was really wondering, right? And challenging people, because I'm hearing a lot of people, and most people that were expressing how they connected to this, and it was triggering, they were only connecting to the parts where they were the victims of the behaviors. Oh, I've experienced this happened to me. Very few were able to recognize the parts that they do, right? And so I recognized me in both of them, You know what I mean? As far as like what I've done in the past too. Like I've been on the victim side of both of them, but I've also been on the aggressive, aside both of them. I don't even know if that was the proper term, whatever, because this liquor and Red Bull is doing its work. And so it's like I used to be a facts over feelings person, right? I'd be in an argument and I would miss so many opportunities because I would focus on facts over feelings. Because what I do know is probably every woman that I've been with had a way of making up shit and telling me I did something. And I know for a fact, I never did that. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Right. And so because I'm adamant about it, you're not about to lie on me when I do that. Tell me when I did that. What's the time and day? When did I ever do that? Tell me when. Right. And it wasn't about that because I knew I didn't do it. But the opportunity that I missed was, what is she really saying? What's the feeling that's behind what she's saying? Let me get over this hump of her believing what I did. And let me address how she feels to get to the resolution, right? Because that's ultimately what it's about. It's about how she feels about what she thinks I did. Right. Or what she's saying I did. It's the feeling. And so on that part where you didn't cast me because, and I forgot the reasons that she said or whatever, and he goes, instead of like, damn, you're heartbroken because you felt we were on this journey together and somewhere I dropped you off and picked up this other woman. I went to, you're jealous of her. And that was like one of the biggest missed opportunities of the film. For him. I was like, bro, like you could have just paused and just heard her. And so then he tried to pick it back up when she showed him her skill level, right? And then instead of being like, damn, like he did when that nigga stood there, it was like, well, why you didn't just do that in the audition?
I was hot. That made me laugh. I was like, I don't think it's supposed to be a funny moment, but it was funny.
I think that and the knock on the window, the mediocre part, both took me out.
John David.
Right. And so then he goes into the room like, oh, now you on her dick again. Right. Oh, because she can act. But you knew she can act. Or if you had given her the opportunity to act, you would know what her performance would have been. So was that on her, like you didn't put your best foot forward because you're not ambitious enough, or him like, hey, I didn't clear a path for my woman who's extremely talented, or I'm living with this woman in this relationship with this woman and I'm not recognizing her gifts.
And I think he did recognize her gift, which I think made it more problematic for her because in the initial, I guess they were on the couch or maybe they were on the floor. I don't know, when they were fooling around. And she was, kind of taking him through like, okay, now that you're, kind of hot stuff, this is what your life is about to look like. And they were going through that whole back and forth. And she was like the LA Times lady and all the critics and blah, blah, blah. And so at the end of all that, they're laughing, like they're having a good time. And he goes, your white people voice is hilarious or whatever. Like, I always said, if you found the character that allowed you to be yourself, right? Like you would shine or something like that. And you could see her face. Like, nigga, what other character?
You just made a whole movie about the character I could have been.
Yeah. And it took them right from, happiness to, they were right back in it. And he's none the wiser. I think that was like my biggest issue with him is just like, you're not grasping this at all. Like it almost had to go to the heights that it went and the depths that it went for him to even go, oh, you're
like how can you? So it's almost like this. How can you know someone as well as they knew each other
and miss
both
all
of
that?
Both of you missed the mark on so much. Like
because they're focused on themselves because it's the
right.
narcissism.
And I feel like she did make everything about her. Like, oh, this movie is about me, and you did this one, and it wouldn't be as good without me, and I did, and without me, you're mediocre, and without me, I'm the one that makes you great. Blah 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 blah. It's all about her. Where it's about him because he's missing everything she's actually feeling. Like,
right.
that ain't no feeling. You this, you just jealous. You just this, you just that.
Yeah.
And you don't work hard enough, and you're not ambitious enough, and you ain't got the grind. And like, y'all, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think the most painful part is that they fucking love each other. Because only love is going to keep two people together that really thinks these things about. And he expresses it. I think for all his faults, as far as like his aggression, his narcissism, his inability to see through what she's saying into what she's feeling, he still loves her. Now, does he love her because of her qualities that he outlined, or does he love her because he's needy, as she outlined, which he displayed? Marie, like if he said her name one more goddamn time, like she could not leave his side for 2 seconds without him. Like,
where'd you go? She was like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, damn. Now, why you go outside? Like, that was weird. That was weird.
That was very weird.
But at the same time, it's like any moment he felt that she was gone, it was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
which also would that not make you act right, or guess not?
Well, I don't. Well, I mean, that's dependent on whether he feels he's acting wrong. But
clearly,
but then there's levels of.
I mean, generally, not in that situation, but like, yeah.
But
you're in a relationship and somebody threatens to leave, or you feel like that's. Mm-hmm. Upon you. And I think that's the point that she made in that statement. Like, as long as you feel like somebody loves you or has gotten to that point, you don't consider them again. But at the point that you think you've lost them or something has changed, now you're paying attention, and that's.
What else is real interesting is they would actually say some fucked up shit that would be objectively fucked up. But the mood that was occurring made it okay, because like at the beginning when he was talking about like the chick that always writes bad reviews about him, right? Mm-hmm. He's going in blah 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 blah, and she was like, babe, you've never received a good review in your life. Mm-hmm. And she was like, stop complaining about it, makes you sound like an asshole. And it didn't start a fight. You know what he said? You're right.
Yeah.
So it's equally as fucked up. You've never received a good review in your life. Like, I was there, I know that.
Right.
Needle in the arm, right?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? But I think the spirit and the mood of the conversation is what changed everything about what's being said. You're not saying this to weaponize or to hurt me. Mm-hmm. You're saying it as an observation of somebody who knows me, right? Possibly out of love, but it's still it. But she could have said that same thing in the heat of an argument, and it would have been fireworks based on the original. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so I think that the mood and the sentiment of things that are being said makes all the difference, because
absolutely,
I don't think the other stuff they said were less fucked up. I just think because now you're in this heated argument and you're weaponizing your truths, that now it's because nobody reacted to those moments where you're saying little fucked up stuff. Oh, when you're speaking in your white people voice, that's fucked up. Oh, you sound like an asshole when you say this. Oh, can you say something? Yeah. Can I tell you something? Yeah. If you're able to do it without being mean or cruel, or when you're not being an emotional terrorist, like these are things she said.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But because the mood shifted, it was, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you being funny. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that was an observation of mine. Like, there were a lot of things said, but the mood of the conversation is what dictated the reaction.
And she said, I'm the person that can tell you these things. And he said, you're right. Like I can say when you're being an ass, or I can say, when you're being emotional tears. Like I don't think I use those words, but I remember, telling somebody about themselves and having license to do it. And not, I don't think I ever thought of it in a way that it was to weaponize or be hurtful, but like, this is what you're doing, And the goal is to get you out of this. Like, yeah, if you're an asshole, like you need to shift that. And I think that's what I got from when she was saying like, yeah, you've never had a good review. Here it is. Why are you complaining? Type situation.
Well, no, this was it happened before. This was in the very beginning when she was outside and he was walking around when they first got home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about at the end.
Yeah, but it was basically like she wasn't wrong. It was more like, hey, I'm still saying something fucked up about you, but it's in a supportive fashion. Like it was facts. Like you've never gotten a good review, so why are you upset about this now? Or what they've said about like you just did a great movie, you've never gotten a good review, and then later to the scene that you're speaking to, it wasn't a bad review. He's interpreting it and internalizing it how he wants, being narcissistic. Like, oh, why you got to say this, But then she points out, she does this thing to where it's like she starts siding with the people that are saying things about him.
Yeah.
So it's like, but and that raises another question, and I don't know if we have time to unpack that. It's like, and this is typically something that women are burdened with when it comes to men. It comes to ego and all this other stuff. It's like, do you support him even if you disagree with him? Or like, how do you express your truth that like she sided with the writer? Like, hey, like the part of like well, why did you have her topless? I didn't like that was unnecessary. And you know what I'm saying? And so it feels like she's opposing him, but that was her truth. That's what she feels. Does she get to express that, or does she have to keep that to herself? You know what I mean? So it was so many layers and things to unpack. And I know we're low on time.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, I guess we can talk about in our next meeting whether we pick up again, because I'd love to get more feedback. And kind of walk through the rest of it, but for now, we'll kind of unpack our final thoughts for this particular episode, and then possibly pick up more directions.
I mean, I don't know how much more or how much deeper you want to go, but I think we actually did a good job of getting through what we thought about the film and the different parts that stood out. The one thing I don't think we talked about that I like absolutely loved and reminded me so much of me, the song choices, right? Like I can find a song for every occasion. Okay?
You think he was doing that on purpose?
Yeah.
Listen,
so did she. She got with it.
When she came outside and she was looking at his ass, took his cigarette like, I could do that too, nigga. Yeah, he was looking at her ass. I think even the genre annoyed his ass because he was picking like some soul and some James Brown, and she come outside with some. Who was that? I don't even know.
It was Dionne Warwick, but yeah, it was but it was very like poppy, versus what he was laying down. But it was very, petty. Growing up in the 90s, dedicating a song to somebody on the radio or leaving a particular song on your voicemail. So when they called,
that was the subliminal meme back then. Like y'all, for our millennials that listen to the show, we didn't have subliminal memes that we can put on our page that we then tell our partner is not about them. Yeah. It ain't about you.
You put it on your voicemail. Yeah.
Put it on your voicemail and shit. And like,
that's right. When they call, they got the message. They always got the message.
All right. You call somebody, beep a number, and all you hear, I think you better leave me alone. So pack your bags and get the hell out.
Yes.
Come on. Like, oh, for real. Then you play that song. What's that dude, Iman? Fuck you.
Oh, those were the days. So yes, I absolutely loved that. I was like, I can't wait for the soundtrack. Okay.
And you didn't have a playlist back then. You had a mixtape. Burnt you a CD.
That's right. Okay.
So let's go ahead and unpack our final thoughts for this particular episode. And there's some people that's requesting a live on this.
Well, they're not putting no comments in the post. That's where I want to see your request.
Yeah, we'll talk about stuff for y'all. If we go live once a month, the first Thursday of the month. But if y'all want to live before that, first of all, but y'all listen, y'all think that we just flip a switch and start talking and put this shit up. That is not what podcasting is.
That is not.
For all you aspiring podcasters out there, let me tell you, it's not easy. If you want to do a quality podcast, I think we have a quality podcast.
I believe so too.
But we are still growing. We're still novices in this. But our collective knowledge, I think that we've done well. But it is not easy. It is work. You need to be very strategic, timely, organized,
and flexible, because stuff happens.
Happens. So
every week something
right. And we're not even talking about this. So I know we're supposed to be in final thoughts, but I'll say this because I've had people that have contacted me about wanting to start a podcast. I guess the biggest thing,
y'all know not to call me because I'll shoot you.
She gonna try. Yeah, she gonna shoot you anyway. And pretty soon I am too. That is shit. You taking food off her table when you ask her questions. So the free advice that I'll give you on today is be prepared to create enough content in advance before you launch your first episode. Make sure you have enough content in advance to allow life to happen. That is what we do, which is why some of the episodes that we shoot we shoot content in advance that won't date itself, right? That are universal topics that aren't, so yes, we do current, we'll talk about current stuff or current events, but our general topics are not topics that will date themselves. So that gives us time to be able to allow life to happen. So we schedule to shoot every week. We shoot every Tuesday. We air every Thursday. But sometimes life happens and we're not able to shoot,
Yep.
Dre is on the move. She's in between 3 different cities.
Child. But I'm not outside with the COVID. I'm indoors.
No, she's not. No, she's indoors. She's not outside with the V.
Just so y'all know, I'm not partying.
But right. But it's just you have to be very strategic
and committed, because in that, making these moves, I had to make sure that I have provisions to stick to the schedule that we have. So if that's traveling with all my equipment and all that kind of stuff, that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment, y'all. So I would say just think it through. Think about your commitment before you do it, because once you start and people enjoy what you do, they're going to be expecting more. And the minute that you fall off, you run the risk of losing a good portion of your audience. So be strategic, be committed, and plan ahead are some of the more important things, and just content that people are going to love. And watch the movie if you haven't. If y'all stuck through this and y'all haven't watched the movie, with all the spoilers, watch the movie Malcolm and Marie. It's on Netflix. Awesome movie visually. The writing is excellent. It can be triggering, so if you're going through something with your boo, I don't even recommend you watch it with your partner, to be honest.
Right.
Watch that shit separately. Because it's one of the things where you keep like, see, you do that, y'all be fighting in the middle of the damn. So that was an impromptu, unexpected final thought that had nothing to do with the movie.
Well, my final thought is definitely about the movie. I don't think I said it, but I'm going to go back and make sure none of my comments say that I didn't think that they were toxic. I definitely thought the dealings were, like the conversations and the argument was. But it really, I feel like the movie showed imperfect people existing imperfectly, right? Like I couldn't judge because immediately I saw things that reflected me at certain times in my life and dealings that I had been in for an extended period of time. So like, even to go like, oh, I wish she would have left at the end of the movie. I'm like, I didn't. So that wasn't really my expectation, you know, for her to be gone. So I know naturally we're looking for the blame and assigning blame and all of that. But I think the film showed what is likely closest to the truth, even though I feel like it was like really blown up. But the truth is that, you know, blame, if you will, exists on both sides. So I think that, again, this is closest to the truth, where even if you're not the person that has done something wrong, in the heat of the moment or in the battle, sometimes you wind up as, you know, somebody with blame because of how you fight, right? And how you kind of keep the fire going. So everybody has a role to play in these relationships. And I think one thing that we forget is that when you're in a relationship, you have somebody else to consider and to think about. So the same way that you want to be protected, like, you know, the best relationship I feel like you could be in is being able to be vulnerable and open and have, you know, imperfections and still be loved. But if that is the case, if you're to feel safe enough to do all that and to display all of that, then you can't be the person that takes somebody else's truths and vulnerability and use it against them. And that's whether you're in a relationship or out. So years post the kind of situation I was in, I would never, right? Like, God bless you, you on your journey, I'm on my journey. I would never lay your stuff bare like that, because at the time you shared that with me, right? Like, that was a sacred space. There was love there. There's all of that. And I would hope the same thing for, you know, in reverse. So that was kind of my, you know, final thoughts. It was a mess, that movie. But it was, you know, it was beautiful.
It was
like,
a beautiful
cinematic. Mess. Yeah, it was beautiful. Like I said, the music. I can't remember last time I watched a black and white. So all of that, you know, I think was great. And John David, oh my God. You Oscar are your daddy's son. You are your son, okay?
Listen, I don't give a fuck. If that dude didn't turn into Denzel, and you know his mama's formerly trained actress too. Yeah. In the conference. So let's not forget that.
Miss Pauletta.
Yeah, so like that combination between Denzel and Pauletta, don't you know? And I remember, I think he was doing a interview for Black Klansman when someone just like brought up Denzel, and he was like, and Pauletta.
And like, Pauletta. Well, that voice is why I say Denzel, because because that came out. I was like,
whoa, yeah. If you close your eyes, you were like, wait.
Yeah, you know, like, but when he goes on the rants, because I mean, I've heard it before, but when he like gets in it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and he goes on quite a few rants, so. Yeah,
indeed.
So y'all, we want to thank y'all for tuning in to yet another episode. I won't make any promises. There may or may not be a part 2 of this. We will see the responses. And
I think I'd rather do a live than a part 2.
Okay.
So we can at least have some engagement. I can't promise Thursday because I'll be on the move, but you know, if any day after that, I can work that.
We may do a pop-up live on a random day based on y'all's feedback of this episode. But until then, I'm your man, 100 Gram Barzini.
I'm Dre Renee.
She hates when I just do
I was like, is he about to do the whole?
She's like, wait, she starts, listen, she gets on alert. It's like, okay, are we doing the whole tag or just a half tag?
What's happening? I'm posing. I'm like, wait.
Right. Wait.
Too much.
No. Hey, but this has been another episode of The Crossroads. We love y'all. And always remember, be free to be you. And we love y'all.
All right. Bye.
We want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for our email list for more episodes and projects from your hosts, Barzini and Dre Renee. Until next time, this has been the Crossroads Podcast. And remember, be free to be you.